Hello everybody, it's Chad Warren from the Adventurer Channel here on YouTube and the adventurerchannel.com/blog, which I haven't updated in quite some time, trying to figure out how to integrate what is becoming my new joy, which is to highlight a comment that gets my attention on Facebook, which is where I social mediate. And so today we're focusing on a YouTube content producer. I'm sorry I don't remember or know his first name, but the channel is Quantum of Conscience, and I believe he bills himself as someone who has a lot of experience in the corporate world and applied his analysis, big picture perspective to his interest in conspiracy truth seeking, which is a largely hobby of good people that should do more than create and watch videos like myself. That's what I'm trying to advocate here with the Adventure Channel is what do we do? Because in his recent video, the only thing that's really important is that the control culture of moneyed elites use their occult or hidden knowledge of human psychology to attract us to what seems like sweet fruit but is really poison, as you see here in the classic Snow White imagery. And it's that like he's saying, they want us, who are critical thinkers, to be lost in this mystery of JFK and Sandy Hook and whatnot, because the outcome of that thinking is simply that we have firmly identified ourselves not only to the NSA of organized crime technocracy as to who the resistance to banker rule would be, but also to our peers who are easily jazzed up by each day's tweets about Trump, the chump, who misleads the pseudo-intellectual bogus Christian patriots by advocating for the banker-run federal National Guard, which is a fake version of the well-regulated militia of individuals, to go down and keep a bunch of beaners out at the Mexican border, so that's kind of playing off of racial fears. And what they have done is got a standing army, which is unconstitutional. So, and then Trump is going to save money on your big pharma pill costs, not by doing something logical like the Rockefellers who made their money on all this big pharma was because their dad or mom, one of them, was a herbalist. And they took that knowledge and they said, oh, let's make all of that illegal for people to get access to plants without some license, and let's put lab coats on doctors, and so specifically Quantum of Conscience has done a little focus on the JFK situation with 3 videos here, specifically regarding why would Jackie Kennedy have blood all over her skirt and body 24 hours later, as these pictures suggest. And I mean, I'm speaking for myself here, but the point in bringing up these topics is, to illustrate a lack of logic in the masses. And then I guess for me it would be to find the people you can agree with and to go take action. But let's show you what happened when I polled my audience on Facebook about what they thought about them. I thought he raised a good question. Seems weird to me. Seems like any of us, if we were in this situation, while this woman was in shock, her friends would be like, "Here, honey, let me give you the clothes off my back," like Quantum was saying. Uh, so you don't have to, revel, in this death all over you. Okay, so Paul Coker got my attention. So here my post specifically is saying, does it seem believable to you that the First Lady would wear clothes with her murdered husband's blood on them hours after the JFK assassination? It doesn't to me. And then Paul says, well, you're not Catholic. Okay, I got you. I went to various Catholic schools amongst various Christian private schools in my youth, so I'm familiar enough with a bunch of bogus cult religious crap, whether it's Protestants and their magical, oh, I've accepted Jesus. Now, no matter what sin I do, I can just go into heaven. And then, or the Catholics with their pagan rituals from Rome and all this jazz. So, I asked Paul to explain himself, and he says, well, it makes perfect sense to me. Okay, let's look at that. And then, okay, just so you know, Paul is from London, so he has that national influence over him, like I have the American national influence over me. And I think Joanna is from Australia, and, she perceives that it's the royal family is wrapped up in, actually representing Christendom, that there is going to be this solution from the establishment. And Paul is like a trickster. He likes Shakespeare the Bard and the comic book writers. I enjoy his discussion of wit, Shakespeare, and all that kind of stuff in the modern media. Like, what is that called? Whoa, I can't remember. What's the comic about the guy that's in the dream world? I think that's what he keeps showing a reference of, or maybe it's Alan Watts showing that Rorschach guy from The Watchmen. I don't know. But he's just full of riddle answers, like the Riddler on Batman, and showing scenes from Batman. So I usually feel perturbed at his. You'll see what I. Why does it make sense, Paul, that she would be covered in blood? Sure, why what? Like I wasn't completely obvious. So Paul can't stand logic. I mean, he's stated as much, and I understand, that it is a Western over reliance on materialism that causes someone like myself to prefer logic and reason. But I mean, I would also say that as much as I enjoy learning about somebody who's trying to rekindle the kind of Greek classical notion of spirit, like Rudolf Steiner, it's like, geez, seems like to me all those people kind of end up dead and murdered like Native Americans. Like, yeah, they've got these valuable spiritual gifts, but if you get wiped out by, uh, sick people, then what is the value of that? What's the value of Tesla if he got taken advantage of? So Paul says it makes absolutely perfect sense, and I believe, is this not Mary with Jesus off of the cross? Okay. So it's my understanding that these images of a white Jesus with blue eyes and long hair and then Mary comes from Germany, medieval Germany, and it was called Ashkenazi, named after the uh, fake Jews, uh, that Donald Trump is a champion of. So the 85% of those who consider themselves Jewish are Ashkenazi, which means they were from the Caucasus region, like southern Russia, and they married into the faith, and they chose it out of political reasons. Uh, yeah, and so these are the people that are the masters of deception. They are referred to in the Bible as those who say they are Jews and are not. So this is not anti-Semitic. But I'm just, I'm using this discussion as a key example of something that is obviously bogus, that bazillions of people take to be valuable, and I want them to question it, like this concept of glorifying murder. Okay? So Paul says, why would you clean that blood off? That's obscene. And I said, obscene is Catholic influenced Christians wearing crucifixes, focusing on the death of Jesus Christ versus his resurrection and our resurrection around their neck, which is what JFK is in conspiracy culture. The dominance of Luciferians over the weak masses through the illusion of care, right? So these people that, Paul, like, he likes the West Wing, right? This British view of America, which is this mass deception that is actually tricking all of us into, talking about being the land of the free and home of the brave, yet it's, land of the Trump-led red flag law of taking guns. I mean, that's what Trump supports. So that's this mental illness of people being completely contradictory and deceived. We're not free. This is all run by the bankers. George Washington said if you pick sides in Democrat versus Republican, you're screwed. That's the Hegelian dialectic. All of you people that have chosen to support either of those notions have failed. So, and the whole revolution was fake, run by Masons. They dressed up as Indians and threw tea in the harbor, just like they're blaming Muslims. Them Muslims, gotta protect ourselves against them beaners and them Muslims, is what this alt-right thinks. And the, progressives are just as lost as they beg banker-run federal governments for a socialist utopia. So, the Jesus Christ I know was a radical, and he was murdered along with all the disciples for going against the system and suggesting to not pay taxes and to not participate in consumerism. So I do mean to combat the hypocrisy in myself and my peers. That's why I'm making this video. Because I no longer feel that my enemy are these moneyed families, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. They are the evil lords that grow in power only because of our behavior in choosing to worship them as lords. So stop kissing the asses of this system that hates you. Okay? Jesus Christ doesn't want you going to church on Sunday and putting your money in a plate. He wants you to be self-sustainable. Nature and God are the same thing, and we're far away from both of them. So you best recognize. What do you think about Jackie in these pictures, supposedly having blood over her body and skirt 24 hours after? Do you think that's legitimate? Do you think that, my big question is, will any of us ever actually activate in the real world to hold any of these people ourselves as consumers and the lords of industry that all supported Hitler and the communists both? Ford gave them tanks, just like, these computer companies and aerospace companies via the Talpiot program are giving away all this technology we as taxpayers pay for to finance both sides of these wars. Are we ever going to really see justice done, or are we just going to talk and be in this TV drama? What do you want to see for the future? What is your hope for the future? Thank you.